Do you guys know like how to select an EC2 machine? If not, in this video I will help you guys in understanding how to select an EC2 machine. So hi everyone, my name is Vicky, and in this video I will explain like what machine you need to select in which all situation. So selecting a machine is always a question of debate. Everyone thinks like whenever we need to select a machine, we can randomly pick any of the machine and work with it. No, it is not the case in the AWS. Generally, we go with a single thumb rule like, okay, we understand the requirement first. Okay, if there is a requirement of the 4 GB of the RAM and two virtual CPUs, then what we exactly do is we select one of the machine from the AWS console and give it to the customer or give it to the client or give it as per the requirement. But selecting a machine as per the memory or as per the CPU is not exactly we have to do. There are other factors as well. When I talk about the other factors, right now I'm talking about the duration of the machine, like how long we need to use that machine. That is something very important because there are certain situations where we need a machine for a couple of hours, couple of days only. In that kind of scenario, if I'm going with the reserved instance, that is not the best choice which I'm doing. And let's suppose there is a requirement for a project where we need a machine for at least a period of 6 months to 1 year, then selecting a on-demand machine is not a right choice. Let me give you one more example. Let's suppose there is a testing which I have to do and the server which I need, that is of more compute power. In that case, if I'm selecting a on-demand machine just for the testing purpose, again that is not the best choice. So selecting a machine is very important. We have couple of factors which we need to consider while selecting the machine. Like when I talk about the couple of factors, the first factor obviously is the costing. We need to understand the costing of the EC2 machine. Costing of the EC2 machine depend on the region. Let's suppose if I'm in Mumbai region and if I'm creating a T2 micro, it might be a possibility the price might be a different from the machine if I'm selecting a different region. So costing is always we need to take into the consideration. We always need to check the pricing before we select any of the machine. The second is the duration, like the example which I just gave. You know if I'm selecting any of the machine, I need to understand the requirement first for how long we need to use that machine. If the machine is for a shorter duration of time, then we can go with the on demand. If it is for a longer duration of time, then we can go with a reserved kind of instance. And if we are not sure about the time, like it might be a possibility that current requirement is for 6 months, and after that it might be a possibility that machine we are going to use the same machine for a longer period of time. Then we also need to understand whether the machine which we are selecting, are we able to convert that on demand machine to a reserved instance or not. So these all things we need to take into the consideration before we are creating any of the machine. And there is one more point which we also need to consider, the use case, which is very important. We need to understand the requirement from the customer. Requirement in a sense, like we need to understand each and everything from the customer, what exactly the use of that machine. It might be the machine they are going to use it for a web development. It might be they are going to use that machine for a scientific modeling. It might be they are using it for the RDS. So there could be n number of scenarios where they are using the machine. So understanding the requirement is very important. Once we are able to understand the requirement, then only we can suggest the machine type. And there is a complete documentation from the AWS where we can go and check each and everything related to this. It is not something which I can pick up the randomly and give it to the customer. No, it is not like that. We need to check the documentation first. We need to understand the customer requirement. We need to understand the duration, for how long they are going to use the machine. We also need to understand if there is any use case or if they have used such kind of scenario before as well. So we need to think of each and everything before selecting any of the machine. So let me go to the console and let me show you like how we are selecting a machine. Before going to the console, let me show you the type of machines we have from the AWS. So right now I'm in the official documentation of the AWS, and the first type of machine we have, that is the on demand. Now here we have each and every information related to the on demand, but let me tell you each and everything so that you can understand what exactly the on demand is and when we have a requirement to select the on demand machine. So when we talk about the on demand, the first thing which comes into the mind, that is the no commitment. No commitment in the sense like, let's suppose if I need a machine for 5 hours, I can use it for 5 hours, and at the end of the 5 hours, I'm only going to pay for 5 hours. It is not something where I have used a machine for 5 hours and I'm paying for the complete day. No, it's on demand. That means if I'm going to use a machine for 1 hour, I'm going to pay only for 1 hour. If I'm going to use the machine for one day, I'm only going to pay for one day. So it is pay by the hour. Okay. And there is one more thing which we need to remember in this, like any partial hour is converted into full. So if I'm going to use my machine for 1 hour 1 minute, that means I'm going to pay for 2 hours. So that is the on demand, where there is no commitment from the AWS. It's all up to the requirement. If my requirement is for a long term, if my requirement is for a short term, I'm going to pay for the hours I'm going to use. And there is one more thing, like whenever I'm going to create a machine and my machine is in the running state, that means my billing is there. And whenever I'm going to stop my machine, that means my billing is also going to stop. So that is the on demand. Let me move to the next one, that is the reserved instance. Now reserved is for a period of time. Let's suppose for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. It is something when we have a requirement for a long term, when we have a commitment for a long term, then generally we select the reserved type of instance. And these instance, when we compare it with the on demand, are on the lesser costing as well. Why it is on the lesser side? Because I'm purchasing this for a period of time. I'm purchasing this instance for a period of 1 year, for a period of 2 years. So on that, Amazon give us discount, because we are doing a commitment with Amazon that we are going to use this instance for a long period of time, and because of that commitment, Amazon give us a lot of discounts and everything. Now in this reserved instance, we do have an option where we can do a complete payment, where we can do a partial payment, something like that. So they also give us those kind of options as well. And this also give us the capacity as well. Now what exactly the capacity, that is something I will explain later in the video. So now let's move to the next instance, that is the schedule instance. Now schedule, let's suppose my requirement is for a particular period of time, like let's suppose my requirement is on for a time period between 9 to 6. In 9 to 6 I need a machine. So in those all cases I can go for a schedule instance where there is a planned activity. Let's suppose my activity is on the weekend, so I need a machine only in the weekend. That is the schedule instance. I can schedule it as per my requirement. Schedule it for for alternate days, schedule it for alternate months, schedule it for alternate time. I can do those things. So that is the schedule instance for me. The next one is the spot instance. Now let me explain this thing in the layman term. Amazon always have a unused capacity. Now when they have the unused capacity, they give it to the customer on the discounted rate. Now if we are going to compare the spot instance with the other, like on demand, reserved, schedule, it is on the very less costing, it is on the very less side. Why Amazon is giving on the lesser rate? Because they have an unused capacity. They want to utilize each and every resources, so that is the reason they give us on a lesser price. But there is a catch here. If someone else is going to bid on a higher price, then the machine is going to terminate within a notice period of 2 minutes. So it is something like where we need to meet the market rate as well. So let's suppose currently the market rate is $1 for 1 hour, and someone else is bidding for $2 for 1 hour. That means that machine will go to that person. So that is the spot instance. Now to summarize this thing, on demand is for the short workload, predictable pricing. When I talk about the reserved instance, is for a long workload where we have a commitment of more than 1 year. Schedule reserved instance, that is when we need to launch an instance within a time window. And when I talk about the spot instance, that is for a short workload, for cheap, and we can lose an instance if we are not going to compare the market price. Now here I logged into the to the AWS console. Now here what I need to do is I need to go to the EC2. So here we have the EC2. Let me search for the EC2 from here. Let me cross this thing. Let me open. Now here we have the instance type which I was talking about. Like we have the spot instance, we have the reserved, we have the dedicated, we have the capacity. Okay, now let's suppose I need to create a spot request, so I can click on the spot request, and from here I can request for the spot instance. And if I need to create a reserved instance, I can also purchase a reserved instance from here. Let me go back to the EC2 dashboard and to the instance and launch one of the instance. Now here if I'm not selecting anything, that means I'm creating a on demand. Okay, on demand instance I'm creating. Now let me select a EMI, and here we have the option for the instance type. And here if I'm going to see, we have the memory option, we have the CPU option, we have the network and EBS optimize available. These options we have. And if I'm going to scroll down a bit, I will get different memory and the CPU type from the different type of machine. Like we have the C machine, we have the T machine. Let me scroll down. We have D, X large, G, 8X large. So we have the different type of machine. Now which machine we need to select in which situation, that is something we need to know. Now for that we have a AWS documentation where they explain each and everything, like in different scenarios. If you have a use case, like which machine you need to select. So let me go to that website, AWS EC2 type. Here it is. So we have the journal purpose, we have the compute optimize, we have the memory optimize, storage, instance feature. We have these type of machines available in the AWS. Now if you see in the journal purpose, we have the Mac T4G, T3, T3A, T2. Now let me go to the AWS console. Now here we have these families like T3, T2, T3A. Let me go back to that documentation. M6i. Let me scroll down and I will get the M machine as well. So here it is, M5. Okay, so here it is, M6. Now these are all the general purpose machine. If I need more information related to the machine, let's suppose I'm creating a T2 machine here, T2 type machine, which is a free tier. This machine I'm creating right now. Now if I need more detail about this, then I will get it here. If I'm going to select T2, now it is going to provide me with other information related to this machine as well. The most important thing which we need to look at this window is scroll down and look for the use case. Now if I am going to select a journal purpose T2, this machine is for this purpose. This machine is for the website, for web application, development environment, build server, code repository, microservices, test and staging environment. So this is the use case. Now if my use case fit any one of these requirements, then I'm going to go with the T2 micro. Let's suppose I need to go with the M5. Again I need to see for the use case. Now here is the use case. Now this is for the small and medium sized databases, data processing task, caching, running backend server for SAP, Microsoft SharePoint. So again depend on the requirement, I need to select a machine. It is not something like I have a requirement where I need to use a machine for a SAP and I'm selecting a T2 micro. No, it is not going to help, because here in the use case they have not mentioned this machine is for the T2. Okay, now again like if we are going to see, we have the compute here. Let me pick any of this random type and let me scroll down and look for the use case. This machine is for high performance web server, scientific modeling, batch processing, distributed analytics. So again if my requirement fits into this, then I'm going to select this machine. If I need more information, I'm going to read out this thing. Okay, what other things provided by this type of instance, I will get all those information here, like the memory as well. If I'm going to scroll down a bit, Here we have the memory intensive applications such as open source databases, in memory cache, and real time big data analytics. So this machine is for these all purposes. It is always recommend to check all those things before commit anything to the customer, to the client, or before you are creating any of the machine. It is always good to check the official documentation from the AWS which machine we need to select. Okay, and that is the reason at the beginning of this I told you, whenever you are selecting a machine, you need to understand the use case as well. You need to understand the requirement from the client, from the customer, or what exactly the requirement of the machine. That is something we need to understand first. Once we are able to understand the requirement, then it is very easy for us to select a machine and give it to the client, to the customer, or creating the machine for our own use. Now we have this thing here, like we have the C7G. Now what exactly this means is we have T2 nano. Now T here means is for the tiny machine. Okay, T means here tiny. If I am going to scroll down, look for other things, like C is for compute, M is for memory, R is again for the memory, X is again for the memory here. This is for the storage. I means the storage. If you have any of the types starting with I, D, H, that means you are selecting a storage machine. Okay, now let me go to the AWS console and let me show you all the types here. We have couple of things which are grayed out at the moment. The reason for that, I'm using a free tier right now, so that is the reason these all things are showing grayed out. Once I have the business account, these all things I can select any of the machine from here. And if you really need to create those machine, you can always go and raise a case with the AWS so that they can enable this option for you. But if you are in the free tier like me, then these options are not available for you to use. So I can select any of the machine from here and create it. Now the next thing, that is the costing part. Now costing is very important. We need to understand the costing thing as well. So let's suppose if I'm going to create this machine, what is the cost I have to pay? That is something I need to know in advance. So for that, what we can do is we can go to the AWS calculator. Now in this we need to select the region first. So I'm in AP South 1, that means I'm in Mumbai region, so I need to select the Mumbai from here. Okay, here is the Mumbai, and then I need to select the machine type. So which machine I'm creating? Let's suppose I'm creating T2.large. So I need to select that T2.large. Here it is, T2.large, here it is. Okay, let me close and save. And there is one more point, like which operating system I'm selecting. I'm selecting a Windows server, I'm selecting a Linux, so that is something I need to select. And after that I need to check for the billing option as well, like it is for the on demand, it is for a reserved instance. So now you can compare the prices as well. For the on demand, if you see, the effectively hourly price is this, and if you are going with a reserved instance, you only going to pay this price. So if you compare the prices between these two, there is a huge difference. So effectively monthly cost for this machine, if I'm going with the on demand, that is $72, and if I'm going with, let's suppose with the reserve for a period of 1 year, then I'm only paying $42.